Technology actually works at the end, so it's all good. How's everybody doing on day 2? All good? All right. So again, thank you, Carl. So Mo Nasser, I'm the Senior Director responsible for the M2M Product and Marketing organization at Sprint, which includes M2M strategy, overall strategy, product development, product marketing, and platform. So I had a video that I wanted to share with you. Did the slide flip, by the way? Okay, good. So I had a video to share with you, but I'm not going to even attempt that. Forget about the video. We're just going to go and talk. You know, I was in Miami when the M2M Evolution was happening earlier this year, and I spoke a little bit about getting into the age of the Jetsons. And lo and behold, it continues to ring true. So Masayoshi-san, who is the chairman of SoftBank, just introduced his robot into his store called Pepper. If you haven't seen it, but if you go to SoftBank stores in Japan today, you will see a little 4-foot robot very resembling Rosie from the Jetsons. So lo and behold, it is coming. It is absolutely coming. And M2M is really the driver behind this. You know, a lot of us in the room had a chance to see the wireless industry grow up. You know, if you were in the telecom in the 80s and how wireless came into age and it went all the way up, and now wireless is becoming more of a commodity. And really the next big thing is M2M. And this is why Sprint is really focused and considers M2M, you know, one of the growth engines for the company. And we continue to do great. We haven't seen the hockey stick that everybody talks about, you know, by 2020, 50 billion devices. You know, I hope it's going to ring true. We are seeing great growth year over year. Not the hockey stick effect yet, but, you know, again, very reminiscent of the data revolution back when we talked about, you know, in 2000, we thought that is when the data revolution is going to take place, but it really didn't take place at about 2010, 2011. So I think it is still coming. We are definitely believers in the IoT, the Internet of Things, and also, you know, M2M, and we continue to invest and bring new innovation from a product perspective. So what I want to share with you today is some thoughts about how we, from an operator slash system integrator, and you might say, carrier, system integrator, what's going on? Well, when you start to devise solutions, you have to make a switch. You can't just be a carrier anymore. You have to get into the system integration portion and really start to provide innovative services throughout. And we find that to ring true not only in the connected vehicle space where we provided, you know, our platform called Velocity, but all across M2M, the innovation is taking place, and we find ourselves to be the single point of contact for the customers. Whether we only sell a device or co-sell a device, you know, we are always at the heart of it. And that's why our organization and the way we're going to market is very diversified, but really focused on the customer. So when we think about M2M, it's not just about the devices or the modules or the networks. It's really a combination of a lot of things, starting with the people. And you might say, how does that make sense? You're talking about things and connecting things and people. But ultimately, companies that are our customers or potential customers, they have people. And they want to empower them, mobilize them, getting, you know, to be more efficient, and that's where M2M come into play. So people is at the heart of what Sprint business, where M2M actually lies in our organization. So it's about people. Of course, it's about connecting things and assets and you name it. It's about all the data that you collect, you know, from all of these devices and what you do with it, about the analytics, about processes. Because you know, as you start to connect things, different processes pop up. And the way you optimize your organization is by evolving these processes. So all of this is always in the back of our minds when we are innovating and providing solutions. And of course, locations. I mean, that is really part of and parcel of what we deliver from a network perspective. And it is really very elemental in providing any solution that has to do with M2M. So M2M continues to deliver on the promise. And this is really what kind of the message that I want to give to you, is that the M2M promise of optimizing operation, bringing more revenue to the customer, and having really solving business solutions. When we focus on just selling a device or selling access, it does not really ring true. Well, in some cases it does, because our partner, that's all they need. That is their business issue, that is their business problem. But if we focus on the overall business problem and start to innovate and bringing solutions all together, it is really bringing, better operations to our customer. And we have polled our customers, and we saw about 94% of our customers saw a great return on investment when they get into M2M. So there is some skepticism still there. Remember, we are the company that are right down, working, with the feet on the street, trying to evangelize this M2M. And 5 years ago, it was a little bit tough because people did not realize the intensity and what M2M can deliver. But slowly, it is getting there. And some companies are really going beyond. So, from things that have to do with fleet management, to usage-based insurance, to retail solutions galore with wireless WAN, back up to point of sale. All of these things are really bringing real values and solving real problems for our customers. So M2M continues to deliver on the promise, and we at Sprint continue to empower this. So 5 things that I want to share with you that could be considered the secret sauce behind running a decent, good, solid M2M business. And this is really part of our experience that want to share with you today. We're going to talk about the network, because that is one of the most elemental things about delivering solution. We're going to talk about extensive support services, and why is it so important for us to actually be thinking about that when it comes to M2M. Talking about global platforms, self-service options, talk about meeting the customer needs with the solutions and the innovations that we do. It's funny, yesterday I was having dinner with one of our partners, and I recall about 3 years ago, a customer who usually buys just, handsets from us, that's based in Iowa, who's a farmer, was having problems with cow rustling, people stealing his cows. And lo and behold, M2M had a solution for that. We connected that cow, and we now know where the cow is going. So, so simplistic, but yet so powerful, because we solved a problem for the customer. Of course, that goes on and on all the way to everything else that we do. And again, we feel that momentum coming along, especially in the areas where social awareness and corporate responsibilities come into play, such as distracted driving. With distracted driving, we're trying to provide a safe, environment for the drivers. You hear all about all these accidents that are taking place. And of course, we can't prevent anything, because it's all about changing behavior. And this is really also part of the M2M promise. And I feel like God is on our side. And you say, what the hell are you talking about? Excuse my French. So I was having dinner about 2 weeks ago with a friend of mine who's based in North Carolina. And he tells me he was passing by, and churches down there, they have these little slogans. And the slogan said, as you're passing by the church, it says, if you love God, don't text while driving. But if you want to meet him, go ahead, text and drive. So again, even the churches now are, living up to the M2M promise. We'll talk about some of the solutions that we have, and also the expansive and diverse ecosystem, because that is really part and parcel of what we deliver. So the network. You heard my friend Magnus mention about carriers wanting to be cognizant of all the things that are going to be on the network. To date, we continue to see M2M to be bursty, not thirsty. I mean, there are some applications here and there that we see a lot of tonnage of data going in, but not much. And that's why at Sprint, we are a true believer that M2M lies within all the Gs. We've got the 2G, we've got the 3G, and we've got the 4G. And we've got a longevity plan for the 2G. The 2G, from a Sprint perspective, is here to stay for a while. It's not going anywhere. I think there's a lot of applications, and from a monetary perspective, it makes a whole lot of sense. We just finished rolling out our brand new network that was funded by SoftBank. Yay, SoftBank. So we're very happy about that. Providing a multimodal base station that allows you to do all the access, including, of course, Sprint Spark, which hopefully you guys have heard about, bringing in very, very high speeds. So the network is really key, and the global connection for M2M is also key. And with our parent/partner, SoftBank, we are now able to extend beyond the United States and have M2M service globally. So with the network comes the extensive support system. And here I'm talking about not just your average BSS, OSS support. I am really talking about a dedicated service delivery and dedicated device management platform for M2M, because the needs are different, and the way you approach your devices and the way you manage your devices, and you want the same look and feel all across the globe, and you want to be able to access that device at any moment, stop it from doing overages, doing all kinds of things. All of that must be part and parcel of what you can do, what you have to do to deliver services and to be able to enhance your business. And that is really part of what we deliver in the Sprint Command Center, our platform of choice that we use. One of the things that we have learned as a network operator and as a system integrator for M2M is that when things go awry in the field, and they do, believe you me, Saturdays, forget about it. You get calls. You work for a carrier, you will get calls on Saturdays, sometimes Sundays. Things go awry. It happens. So in the solution, you have co-sold with one of your partners, a device and maybe an application, right? Because we have different models of products, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But who would the customer really call? Would they call that box manufacturer? No. They're going to call you as a carrier. You're going to call us as a carrier. And we are having to really staff up and bring good service, because we are really the one throat to choke, or I always tell my team, we're the one back to path, because we're always going to do a good job. But more and more, as M2M becomes a staple product of Sprint, and as we become more coming off of the island into the mainland, the care support needs to be solid, robust, so that M2M services do not suffer, and we have a great partnership with our customer. And Sprint Command Center is at the heart of that. In addition to the device management platform, you got to also go up the chain. You've heard people talk about that, with solutions that are based on a service delivery platform and also verticalized. Both, can coexist, where you're able to have revenue stream that are being generated from the applications themselves, and really take advantage of more than just the access. And that is by default, as we see ourselves as a carrier/system integrator going into the M2M space. It is not going to be just about access, because if we do, we turn ourselves into a dumb pipe, and that is not going to happen. We are at the heart of it with our platforms, and also bringing solutions all across the value chain. The other part that I also wanted to talk about is selling M2M. This is something that also, sharing the experiences here. We've got a great sales force that is able to sell phones and tablets galore. You name it, they know how to sell it. But selling M2M is a different ball of wax. It is very, very different. We're talking about selling solutions. We're talking about transforming our sales force from selling boxes and devices into selling solutions. And a lot of people don't realize that this is really at the heart of what success is. Because if you can't train your sales force, and if you can't really get them to think about long sales cycles, this is not about, here's the device, you activate it tomorrow, boom, I got my commission, I'm done. It doesn't work that way. M2M is about consulting, is about innovation, is about solutioning. But then when you land something, you're doing great, because it is not just opening up one gross ad, it's 1,000, it's 10,000. So the payout is great, but you have to really invest. And we are investing in our sales force today to transform them into the sales force that is able to stand this type of an approach. And again, if you don't have that cadence, and if you don't bring up your sales force to par, you will not be successful at M2M. And really, we work very closely with our partners because they have the competence in terms of their product offering that we resell, and they are the SMEs. So it's got to be a symbiotic relationship, which lends itself very nicely into the ecosystem and how we bring forth a sales force that is able to sell these types of services. And the other point that I also wanted to mention is the approach of M2M is not a single-threaded way to say, hey, I'm only going to sell solutions, or I'm only going to sell access, or I'm going to only co-sell. I think it needs to be a combination of many things. So we at Sprint, the way our go-to-market has been is really always devised around a three-legged stool I always talk about. We have an enablement leg that allows us to connect everything and anything, from the connected cow to the connected car to the connected home. You name it, we will connect it, because that is really part of our strategy. Enable, get them on the network and service them. Now, when we go to the next leg, we refine our products solutions. We start to actually look at the vertical and the segment and say, well, there's about 13, 14 different segments in M2M. I'm not going to be able to develop solutions and put them on sprint bill and service them all at one time. So I got to focus. Otherwise, I'm going to have a huge sales organization, and I'm not going to be able to deliver on what we need for the customer from a service perspective. So we at Sprint focus on three main areas: the transportation, which really includes all the fleet services, from general fleet to custom fleet to commercial fleets to specialty vehicles, all of that. We also focus on the retailer, so everything the retailer, to really create a customer engagement model from the time they walk into the store with beacons and allowing to have loyalty programs, to the time they start to browse the store with digital signage, to the time they come out and they check out with point of sale, connected point of sale, PCI compliance, to the back end of the store where you got asset management, fleet management if you need them, to remote monitoring of the premise. All of that is within that segment. And then the third one is the insurance space and the insurance telematics, really with the thrust being in UBI, but also, as I mentioned, distracted driving is all part of it, and the whole corporate responsibility that I talked about. So that's the second leg that allows us to really focus on areas. And then we have in healthcare, and we've got it in everything, and we co-sell with our partner ecosystem very nicely into that second leg. And then the third leg, which is very, very important, and it's really part of what we deliver on the promise of M2M innovation, is custom solutions. So you've got packaged solutions in these areas that I talked about in the 3 areas, but then you need that custom solution, because packaged solutions are going to be great for your SMB market. They're going to be great for small businesses, and salespeople are going to sell them like hotcakes. They are your kind of singles and doubles. But then you need not only the enablement, but also you need that custom solution. That's where innovation takes place. This is where we work with our module manufacturer partners, our device manufacturer partners, and really create something that is above and beyond just a packaged solution to render a solution catering to a business problem. And our SEs are heavily engaged in that, and this is where we see a lot of our numbers really coming from out of that. So again, a 3-legged stool, all facing customers and all really delivering on the M2M promise. Carl, I'm doing okay on time? I know we started a little bit late. We're good?
You're good from my perspective, given the fact we started late.
Okay.
You're leading into our session together. So.
All right, I'll try to wrap things up fairly quickly here. All right, so the last thing really, and this is really the last thing after I talked about all the other factors that really brings us to a successful M2M business, is the partnerships. It is that ecosystem, because I don't think one company can deliver it all. And this is why all of us are here, is because we consider ourselves to be part of that ecosystem. This is where innovation takes place. I mean, there's not even 1 week goes by that I don't talk to an entrepreneur, or I talk to a company that is coming up with a great idea. And we at Sprint, we listen. We like this stuff. We really like to work with small companies and hear that innovation part of it, because I think that's where the space is right now in M2M. So having that ecosystem around you, either from system integrators to module manufacturers to device manufacturers to our platform partners, all of these are really the equation for success. And you gotta have that, you gotta maintain that, and it's gotta be a symbiotic relationship, and where both have a win-win situation. Otherwise, things will start to break. And with that, I think I will end my presentation. I hope I had shared a little bit about what the secret sauce behind what we're doing, and look forward to any questions. Thank you.